My wife said, "If you don't give me what I want, I'll make sure the court destroys you." I replied, "Do what you need to." She didn't know I'd already met with someone the day before, when she opened the court notice and realized whose signature was on it. She sat down on the floor, speechless. "My name is Alex. I'm 35, and I spent 7 years married to someone who turned into a stranger. Or maybe she was always a stranger, and I was just too blind to see it. Either way, the woman I thought I knew disappeared somewhere around year 5, replaced by someone who saw me as an obstacle instead of a partner. Lauren and I met when we were both 26. She was working retail management. I'd just gotten a decent job with steady income and benefits. Nothing glamorous, but stable. We dated for 2 years before getting married in a small ceremony that her parents paid for because we were still building our savings. Those first few years were good. We weren't rich, but we were happy. At least I thought we were. The shift started slowly. Around year 5, Lauren became obsessed with what other people had. Her friends were buying houses, taking European vacations, driving new cars. Suddenly, our apartment wasn't good enough. Our used Honda wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough. She started making comments about how I wasn't ambitious enough and how I settled for mediocrity. Never mind that I worked 50 hours a week and paid most of our bills while she'd quit her management job to focus on starting a business that never actually started. By year 6, the criticism became constant. Everything I did was wrong. The way I dressed, the way I talked, the friends I had, the hobbies I enjoyed. She'd roll her eyes when I spoke, interrupt me mid-sentence, make little comments designed to chip away at my confidence. "That's a stupid idea." "Why would you think that?" "God, you're so boring sometimes." I tried talking to her about it. Multiple times. She'd either deny there was a problem or flip it around and say I was too sensitive, that I couldn't take a joke, that I was making her feel like she had to walk on eggshells. Classic manipulation, but I didn't recognize it then. 3 months ago, things came to a head. We were at dinner with her friends, another couple she'd been trying to impress for months. The guy, Trevor, worked in finance and wouldn't shut up about his Tesla and his stock portfolio. Lauren was hanging on his every word, laughing at jokes that weren't funny, touching his arm when she talked. I sat there feeling invisible. On the drive home, she started in on me. "You barely said anything tonight. You made us look so boring." I said plenty. You just weren't listening. Trevor was talking about real things, investments, growth. Meanwhile, you're sitting there like a mute. "Trevor's an ass who spends the whole night bragging about money." She went silent. That dangerous kind of silent. When we got home, she exploded. "This is exactly what I'm talking about. You have no drive, no ambition. You're content to just exist. Do you know how embarrassing that is for me?" "Embarrassing? I work hard. I pay our bills. You work a mediocre job and you're fine with it. You have no goals, no plans, nothing. I didn't sign up to be stuck in this life forever." "Then what did you sign up for, Lauren? Because it seems like you signed up for someone else's life and you're pissed that I'm not giving it to you." Wrong thing to say. She went nuclear, screamed at me for an hour about how I'd ruined her life, how she'd wasted her 20s on me, how she deserved better. I let her scream. Then I went to sleep in the guest room. The next morning, she was eerily calm, made coffee like nothing had happened. That's when I knew something had shifted. She'd made a decision about something. Update 1. For the next 2 weeks, Lauren was cold but civil. She stopped criticizing me, which should have been a relief, but instead felt ominous. She was planning something. I could feel it. Then came the conversation. She sat me down on a Saturday afternoon with this practiced, rehearsed tone. "Alex, I think we both know this isn't working. I think we should separate." I wasn't surprised, but hearing it still hit hard. "Okay, if that's what you want." "I want the apartment. You can move out, find your own place. I'll stay here." The apartment that's in my name, that I've been paying for? I've been living here for 7 years. I have just as much right to it. Legally, no, you don't, but we can figure something out that's fair. Her expression hardened. I'm not asking, Alex. I'm telling you, I'm keeping the apartment, and I want half of everything. Your retirement account, savings, everything. That's not how this works. That's exactly how this works. We're married. Community property. We live in an equitable distribution state, not community property. And considering you haven't worked in 2 years while I've paid for everything, I don't think you're getting half of anything. She stood up, face flushed. You think you're so smart. You have no idea what I'm capable of. What does that mean? It means if you don't give me what I want, I'll make sure the court destroys you. I'll tell them you were abusive, controlling, that I was afraid of you. Do you know how that plays in divorce court? They'll take everything from you and give it to me. You'll be lucky to keep your car. I stared at her. This woman I'd loved, who I'd supported, who I'd tried so hard to make happy. She was threatening to lie about me, to destroy my reputation, to commit fraud, and she said it so casually, like she was discussing what to order for dinner. Do what you need to, I said quietly. She smiled. Actually, smiled. You should think very carefully about this, Alex. I'm serious. I know you are, and I'm serious too. Do what you need to. She stormed off to the bedroom. I went for a walk that lasted 3 hours. Update 2. Here's what Lauren didn't know. I'd already met with someone the day before that conversation. A divorce attorney named Patricia Molina. I'd been documenting everything for 6 weeks. Every insult, every criticism, every threat. I had a notebook full of dates, times, and quotes. I had text messages saved. I had emails. I'd even started recording our conversations on my phone, legal in our state as long as one party consents, and I was consenting to recording myself. When Lauren threatened to lie about abuse, I'd captured every word. Patricia had been clear. If she files first and makes those accusations, you'll be on defense from day one. Even if they're false, you'll spend months and thousands of dollars proving it. File first, preemptive strike, and use those recordings. So that's what I did. The Monday after Lauren's threat, I filed for divorce, cited irreconcilable differences, requested equitable distribution of assets, included documentation of my solo financial contributions for the past 2 years, and I attached a transcript of her threatening to falsely accuse me of abuse. Patricia said it would take a week for Lauren to be served. I spent that week moving my most important belongings out of the apartment little by little. My clothes, my documents, my grandfather's watch. Moved them to my buddy Kevin's place where I'd be staying. 8 days later, I was at work when my phone started blowing up. 16 calls from Lauren in an hour. I didn't answer. Then came the texts. What did you do? You filed for divorce? Without even talking to me? I got served at work, you asshole. Everyone saw it. How could you do this to me? I didn't respond. Patricia had advised me not to engage directly. All communication had to go through her. That evening, I went back to the apartment to get more of my things. Lauren was there, and the second I walked in, she started screaming. You filed first. You made me look like the bad guy. You threatened to falsely accuse me of abuse. What did you think I was going to do? I wasn't serious, I was just upset. You threatened to commit fraud and destroy my life. That sounded pretty serious to me. This is insane. You're being vindictive. I'm protecting myself from someone who explicitly told me they'd lie to a court to take everything I have. She was pacing, pulling at her hair. You can't do this. You can't just... You have to withdraw the filing. We can work this out. No, we can't. You made your choice when you threatened me. I want to see the paperwork. I'd already left a copy on the kitchen counter. She grabbed it, started reading. I watched her face go from angry to confused to pale. She got to page 3, the attached transcript, the recording I'd made of her threatening false abuse allegations. She looked up at me, and I swear I saw something break behind her eyes. You recorded me? I recorded us. Our conversation. Which is legal. They can't use this. They absolutely can. You threatened to commit perjury. That's documented now. So if you try to claim I was abusive, this recording proves you planned to lie about it. She sat down on the floor, just straight collapsed onto the tile, stared at the paperwork like she couldn't process what she was seeing. You've ruined everything, she whispered. No. You ruined it when you decided I was an ATM instead of a husband. I grabbed the last of my things and left. She didn't try to stop me. Update 3. The next few weeks were a nightmare of legal back and forth. Lauren hired her own attorney, some guy named Rick Chambers who had a reputation for being aggressive. He tried every tactic, claimed the recording was obtained illegally. Judge shot that down immediately since our state is one-party consent. Tried to argue that I'd abandoned the marital home. Patricia countered with documentation that I'd been paying 100% of the rent and had every right to leave when threatened. Then, Chambers tried to paint Lauren as a victim of financial abuse, claimed I'd forced her to quit her job and made her dependent on me. Patricia pulled out Lauren's text messages from 2 years ago, begging to quit work because she hated dealing with customers and promising she'd figure something out for income. She never did. The mediation session was brutal. Lauren showed up with red eyes and a tissue box, playing the part of wounded spouse. But every time Chambers tried to claim she deserved half of everything, Patricia would reference another piece of documentation. Bank statements showing I'd paid 100% of expenses. Screenshots of Lauren's luxury purchases on credit cards I was responsible for. Text messages of her berating me for not making enough money while she made zero. The turning point came when the judge asked Lauren directly, "Mrs. Harrison, is it true that you threatened to falsely accuse your husband of abuse in order to gain advantage in divorce proceedings?" She looked at Chambers. He looked at his notes. Neither said anything for a long moment. "I was upset," Lauren finally said. "I said things I didn't mean. But you did say them. I wouldn't have actually." "That's not what I asked. Did you make that threat?" "Yes." The judge looked at her over his glasses. "I don't take kindly to threats of perjury in my courtroom, even threats that weren't carried out. It suggests a willingness to manipulate the legal system for personal gain." Lauren started crying. Real tears this time. The final settlement was this. I kept the apartment, my retirement account, and my savings. Lauren got her car, her personal belongings, and $15,000 as a lump sum, basically reimbursement for her contributions during the first 3 years when she was working. No alimony, clean break. Chambers tried to argue for more, but the judge shut him down. Said the recording and Lauren's admission made it clear she'd been planning to exploit the system, and he wasn't rewarding that behavior. Lauren signed the papers without looking at me. We were officially divorced 6 weeks after I filed. Final update. It's been 4 months since everything finalized. I'm still in the same apartment, though I've redecorated. Got rid of furniture that reminded me of her. Painted the bedroom. Made it mine again. Lauren moved in with her parents initially. I heard through mutual friends that she blamed me for humiliating her and ruining her reputation. She told people I'd secretly recorded her and ambushed her with legal papers. Conveniently, left out the part where she threatened to falsely accuse me of abuse. Most of our mutual friends saw through it. The ones who knew us both knew what she'd become in those last 2 years. A few took her side, but honestly, good riddance. If they believed her victim narrative without asking questions, they weren't really friends anyway. Last I heard, she got a job at a marketing firm, entry level, since she'd been out of work so long. Apparently she's struggling with the adjustment of actually working again and not having someone else's income to spend. Me? I'm doing okay. Better than okay, actually. The apartment is peaceful. No more criticism. No more walking on eggshells. No more feeling like I'm not enough. I've reconnected with friends I'd drifted from. Started going to the gym. Even went on a couple dates, though nothing serious yet. The best part? My finances are finally mine. No more credit card bills for Lauren's self-care purchases. No more explaining why we can't afford something when I'm the only one working. I'm saving money again, actually building something for myself. People ask if I regret marrying her. Honestly, no. I learned who I don't want to be with. I learned what I won't tolerate. I learned that loving someone doesn't mean letting them destroy you. And I learned to trust my gut when something feels wrong. The recording was the smartest thing I did. Without it, Lauren would have followed through on her threat. She would have lied to the court, painted me as an abuser, and probably gotten away with it because society tends to believe accusations without proof. That recording didn't just protect my assets. It protected my reputation, my future, maybe even my freedom. Would I do anything differently? Maybe file for divorce sooner? Maybe recognize the warning signs when she started the constant criticism and contempt? But I'm not beating myself up about it. Sometimes you have to live through something to learn from it. Lauren made her choice when she decided I was an obstacle instead of a partner. When she saw me as a resource to extract value from, rather than a person to share life with. When she threatened to weaponize the legal system against me, I just made sure I was ready when she did. Edit 1. People keep asking what happened to Trevor and his wife. They're still friends with Lauren as far as I know, which tells me everything I need to know about Trevor. Edit 2. Yes, the recording was legal. I checked with multiple attorneys before I did it. One-party consent state. I was part of the conversation. Completely legal. Know your local laws before trying this. Edit 3. For those asking if I ever loved her, yes, I did. Very much. That's why this hurts so badly. But love isn't enough when the other person sees you as a tool instead of a human being.